Today from the global lane, oil tankers attacked and hijacked. U.S. troops on the move to the Middle East. Is war or a deal coming with Iran? Recession fears grow, but Elizabeth Warren says she has a plan. It's off to college soon for American students, ready to get radicalized. And pro-life legislation in Arkansas blocked by an Obama-appointed judge. And it's all right here on the global lane. Tensions are escalating with Iran. Attacked and hijacked oil tankers, downed drones, and now spy allegations. President Trump's patience with the Islamic Republic is wearing thin.
Frankly, it's getting harder for me to want to make a deal with Iran.
Joining us with more is retired U.S. Army Special Operations Lieutenant Colonel Sargis Sangari. Mr. Sangari is originally from Iran. He knows the country and the Middle East region extremely well. So does our president know what he's doing here, or is he still a little bit naive about Iran?
It's good to be here. I think the president's heading in the right direction. Patience is a virtue, which is what is needed currently within this situation. At the end of the day, we have to negotiate a new agreement with Iran. Getting to that agreement can be in a peaceful fashion, or we would have to go to war in order to bring him to the table, because at the end of the day, this agreement is priority over everything else we have to do within the region.
Well, I know the Islamic Republic accused Americans of recruiting Iranians as spies by offering them U.S. visas and jobs. They say they've arrested 17 people, and some of them may be executed. Now, President Trump said Iran is lying. And here's what Secretary of State Mike Pompeo told Fox News.
The Iranian regime has a long history of lying. They lied about where they shut down the American UAV. They've now lied in the last few days about where they took down this tanker. It's part of the nature of the Ayatollah to lie to the world. I would take with a significant grain of salt any Iranian assertion about actions that they've taken.
He's the former CIA director, Mr. Sangari, so it seems like Pompeo gets it. He understands Iran. Does he or doesn't he? Is there anything you think he's missing here?
I think we all understand Iran. We understand that Iran has been ascending in the region going back to 2003 when we initially entered Iraq. And frankly, the Sunni states are in disarray because of that internal infighting that's taking place within Islam itself as to who's going to be the lead for Islam over the next decade. I think that we have to understand that our main goal is to get to an agreement, and that agreement has to be viable as far as protecting Israel within the region and allowing us to be able to have access to the Iranian bazaars and markets if there's ever a regime change.
And I think Great Britain is the only U.S. ally in Europe that has really spoken out forcefully against Iran, especially after they hijacked a UK-flagged oil tanker off the coast of Oman. So why do you think we're not hearing more tough talk and action from the Europeans?
The Europeans have been brought into this discussion by the U.S. steps within the region. If you know that the Europeans, especially Great Britain, France, and Germany, were working against our sanctions, given the fact that they kept on wanting to stay with the original agreement that was struck under the previous POTUS, it was the U.S. putting sanctions on the supreme leader of Iran, which went after those dollars that he had invested within companies that had invested their wants and desires in Great Britain, in France, and also in Germany. This now forced those nations to have to take tougher steps against the Iranian government. When the British took over the oil tanker, their main goal was to be able to be part of this coalition, lead, in order to support U.S. interests. However, we have to be very careful that England does not take the lead overall in negotiations when it comes to a new deal. England's involvement in this process currently has not brought the Europeans to the negotiation table in accordance to U.S. standards.
Well, why wouldn't you want them to take the lead?
You don't want to have them take the lead because if you strike an agreement with Iran in the long run, you do not want to lose the Iranian bazaar to the Europeans, which was the main reason why the current POTUS left this agreement. We had said in the Near East Center for Strategic Engagement that this was more of an economic deal than it was a nuclear deal going forward, and it was also capped at a certain timeline date. Because of that, the current POTUS broke that deal, and try to renegotiate for a better deal for the United States.
Okay, the Pentagon is sending U.S. troops to Saudi Arabia. Patriot missiles have already been delivered. American fighter jets are on the way. We've got aircraft carriers in the region. Kind of reminds me of the buildup we saw as a prelude to action against Saddam Hussein and Operation Desert Storm. So what do you see happening here?
Well, you have to prepare for war. However, we see that Iran has taken steps in order to avoid war by the fact that in Iraq, Hashishabi, which was an Iranian-aligned militia, which even the State Department had forced Christians, in this case, certain Christians to serve under, has till the end of this month to finally disband and be part of the larger Iraqi footprint. In Syria, you see that Iran has limited their activities, and you even see in Yemen, where the Houthis are not getting the support that they were initially getting from Iran. So Iran is taking the steps to ensure that once it comes to the negotiation table, that it comes with a strong capability in order to be able to strike a long-term deal with the U.S. or possibly head towards a treaty in the future. If Iran wins in this process, Saudi Arabia will lose.
So you think we're going to have a deal? Are we getting closer, or are we beyond that point?
Well, we are going to get to a deal, regardless of how we get there. The problem that Iran faces today is the current POTUS broke the previous deal. Iran's main worry is what would happen if another administration came in and broke this deal. We have to get to a point where finally Congress does its job and tries to get us to a possible treaty when it comes to the ballistic capabilities that Iran is seeking. And I believe that given the limitations that we have put during our negotiations on Iran, we are also protecting Israel, at least for now. It is our hope that everything will be resolved without having to fire a shot in the region.
Yeah, a treaty might have made a difference there. Sargis Sangari, Iran and Middle East military affairs analyst, thank you so much for joining us with your insights.
Good to be here.
Introducing the CBN Bible from CBN.com. Now, an easier way to study the Bible and grow in your faith. Highlight your favorite verse. Read separate versions at a glance. Click and read a commentary. Or cross-reference your favorite verse using the Strong's Concordance. All the right tools to study the Bible, all in one place. The CBN Bible, available at cbn.com/Bible or the iTunes App Store.
It has the power to influence weight loss, boost your immune system, and improve brain function.
We've seen an explosion of data on the role of the gut microbiome in health.
The free Build a Better Gut booklet reveals the latest information about the gut microbiome. You'll discover how your gut affects the rest of your health.
The gut microbiome has been linked to depression and cancer and heart disease.
Learn how to build a stronger, healthier gut.
The microbiome, if it's in good composition, are really protecting us all the time from more invasive things.
Get the Build a Better Gut booklet, free from the Christian Broadcasting Network. Call 1-800-700-7000 or go to cbn.com/buildabettergut.
You need to make sure that your microbes are working with you, not against you.
And if you order online, you'll get immediate access to the Build a Better Gut series, a digital copy of the booklet, and related bonus material. Build a Better Gut today. Call 1-800-700-7000 or go to cbn.com/buildabettergut for your free copy.
Here, we're committed to a heritage of rigorous scholarship dating back over 1,000 years.
And to a faith tradition dating back 1,000 more.
This is how we create a culture of inquiry where no topic is off limits.
And a culture of hope.
Anything's possible!
It's Christian leadership.
And it's changing the world for the better.
It's higher learning.
It's greater knowing.
It's what makes us whole.
It's what makes us Regent.
Economists say the global economy is starting to slow down. The second largest economy in the world, China, is now facing its slowest growth level in nearly 30 years. And here in the U.S., some business leaders and CEOs say we may be sliding into a recession. Democratic presidential candidate Elizabeth Warren says no need to worry, though. She can take care of things. She says student and household debt are the biggest threats to a healthy economy, and she's unveiled a plan that would raise the minimum wage to $15 per hour and allow workers to elect at least 40% of the members of corporate boards. Well, here to weigh in on Warren's plan with developments in the U.S. and global economies, what they may mean for you, is Dan Celia. He's president and CEO of Financial Issues Stewardship Ministries. So, Dan, good to see you again. First, are concerns about recession justified? Where is the U.S. economy heading and why?
Well, if we're heading into a recession, it's not going to be anytime in the immediate future, that's for sure. If we were to head into a recession, I think, first of all, we're going to see the Eurozone go there first. So that's going to give us some indication, Gary, that, hey, things are going to start getting rough here. There is no valid reason right now for us to be moving into a recession. The fundamentals of the economy, I'm not talking about the market, but the fundamentals of the economy are still extremely strong. And I would submit to anybody that they're as strong as they've been in the last 14 years. And that continues. Are we starting to see corporate sentiment start, I wouldn't say turn negative, but start to feel a little bit more concerned? Yes. That does bother me a little bit.
And why are they so concerned if things are good?
I think it's mostly the trade issues and the media with that. I think there has been so much negativity in and around the trade, and I'm not saying some of that is not justified. It is, but it has got corporate America business sentiment a little bit frozen. It is an uncertainty about the future of maybe not even their particular company, but in so many companies. And there's a concern about that, the negativity that the media is portraying over all of this. They are beating and beating this because they need the negativity that they portray to permeate business and then consumer sentiment. But look, the fact of the matter is, I don't know if you saw the numbers last week, 7.2 million job openings still. I mean, it's crazy.
And Elizabeth Warren says that she's one of those that's quite pessimistic about the economy, but she says she can fix it by raising the minimum wage, by giving unions and workers a voice on corporate boards. So what do you think of her ideas?
Well, her ideas, first of all, have no validity because she didn't do any research. It's pretty obvious. But look, the $15 minimum wage, we would be doing something that is proven. It's an assumption that doesn't have to be. The assumption is it's going to be great. But the facts are everywhere it's been tried for the last 4 years has failed miserably. Bernie Sanders gave his entire staff that wasn't getting $15 an hour a raise, and the next day he cut hours. He cut everybody's hours.
Kind of justified what everyone's been saying against it.
Exactly. And that's what happened in the state of Washington and Oregon, other parts of the country where this has been instituted. It's not going to work. I understand Democrats, they want a living wage. The minimum wage was never intended to be a living wage. That whole living wage argument came up by President Obama. I said then, of course it came up because they can't create jobs. So there aren't any living wage jobs out there. That's not the case anymore.
If we enter a recession late this year, early next year, and it continues into the fall of 2020, what impact would that have on consumers, voters, and Donald Trump's reelection chances?
Well, it's going to have an impact on consumer sentiment. It's going to have an impact on voters because they're consumers. And my guess would be, or my maybe prayer would be, that consumers would recognize that there is no one, not one, with a socialist, communist, fascist mentality that is running on the other side, that if we were in a recession, the only thing they can do is put us deeper into it and turn it into a depression. The only one that's going to be capable is the Trump administration of getting us out of it. And the other issue that he can't control, though, is geopolitical events. And we are on the verge of some real concerning geopolitical events.
As always, Dan, we appreciate you. Thanks for joining us.
Life. It's meant to be lived fully. Jesus said it. I came to give you life. Life to the fullest. Life in your family. Life in your finances. Life in your body, mind, and spirit. Life in your everyday. At CBN.com, we're taking what Jesus said seriously. We're here to help you discover life. Life. Live it fully. CBN.com. Want to be a part of a community that inspires your spiritual growth while winning prizes? The all-new MyCBN app. Connect with the community for prayer and encouragement. Track and set spiritual goals. Enjoy conversation starters with friends and family. And collect points to win prizes. The all-new MyCBN app. A great place to belong. Download the app at cbn.com/mobile. Grow, connect, have fun. The all-new MyCBN app.
Watch breaking news, in-depth exclusive stories and programs, from health to entertainment, you won't find anywhere else. The CBN News Channel, a perspective you can trust. Enjoy credible news reporting from around the world. Discover inspiring programs and stories of hope, all in one place, from a Christian perspective. The CBN News Channel, a perspective you can trust. Check your local listings or visit cbnnewschannel.com.
Come home to the sounds of Southern Gospel from CBN Radio. You'll enjoy a rich Southern blend of bluegrass, classic gospel, and Southern gospel favorites like the Gaithers, the Crabb Family, and bluegrass sounds like Mountain Faith. So make yourself at home with the all-new CBN Southern Gospel. Now available at cbnradio.com.
As many parents prepare to send their children off to college in the coming weeks, some are likely unaware of just how radicalized many of our U.S. college campuses have become. Well, joining us to share some of the latest progressive craziness is Ethan Kai. He's a correspondent with the Leadership Institute's Campus Reform. Ethan, immigration and ICE raids, they'll likely be a hot topic on campus this fall. Tell us how some of America's colleges and universities are addressing this issue. What are they doing?
Yeah, so something we've seen at college campuses all around the country at the Leadership Institute's Campus Reform is that these colleges are really opposing immigration laws. And not only are they opposing the laws themselves, but also now the ICE officers who enforce those laws. These ICE officers are being vilified and even asked to be publicly shamed. One human rights professor made a public announcement saying that she believes that we should publicly shame these ICE officers to get them to quit their jobs. At UC Berkeley, too, these students are being taught to fight back against ICE officers. There's even an ICE report hotline that is used for students to report ICE sightings so that they can warn illegal immigrants.
An ICE hotline? I mean, that's unbelievable. I didn't know about that one. Where is that, and how's that working?
Yeah, so it's at the University of California, Berkeley. And so students can just call in this number, report an ICE sighting, and the campus will alert everyone on the campus that an ICE officer is present. And this really just, it stems from this anti-Trump culture because people are now equating being anti-ICE to being anti-Trump. What we've seen at Campus Reform through different student interviews, we made a video where we read out an Obama immigration policy to students at Georgetown University. And they actually interpret it as a Trump quote. And originally they said that the quote came from white nationalism. It was not moral. But then as soon as they learned that it was an Obama quote, they kind of hesitated and, stepped back.
Well, I wanted to ask you about that because I saw that video that Cabot Phillips did. We want to run a clip right now.
We are a nation of laws. Undocumented workers broke our laws, and I believe they must be held accountable, especially those who may be dangerous. That's why over the past 6 years, deportations of criminals are up 80%, and we're going to keep focusing on threats to our security. What's your thought on that quote and that policy in general?
I think that policy comes from a place of like white American nationalism.
Donald Trump has kind of like embraced this rhetoric of like racism and xenophobia that is not beneficial to our country at all.
I don't think that quote really stands true. I'm going to show you the person that said that quote. Is that surprising?
Yeah, a little bit.
Why is that surprising?
Because I thought it was the Trump administration that said something like that.
Yeah, it's quite surprising. I thought it was from Trump.
I didn't expect it to be Obama either.
Why did you not expect it to be Obama?
Because I guess, I don't know, like, it never occurred to me that it could be Obama.
Is that surprising that it's a quote from President Obama?
Yeah, that was surprising for sure.
Tell me, Ethan, what did you think of that when you saw some of those and heard some of those responses?
Yeah, it's really kind of sad. And like, it shows that there's this damaging lack of viewpoint diversity on our campuses. There's really this innate hypocrisy in politics from the side of the left. And this could really come to harm the country as a whole, because these students, they're the next generation of leaders and educators and workers in our country. And if this continues to happen, this blatant lack of viewpoint diversity will begin to corrupt our country.
And it's not only encouraging students to be accessories to crime, basically, by harboring illegal immigrants, people who broke the law coming into our country. We recently saw a Minnesota town, St. Louis Park, ban the Pledge of Allegiance at a city council meeting, or at their meetings or future meetings, saying it might be uncomfortable for some non-citizens who would attend the meetings, but banning the pledge and anti-Americanism, that's nothing new on our college campuses, so it's been going on for a while. Tell us more how students are being instructed not to be patriotic.
Yeah, so unfortunately, the Minnesota ban is not an isolated case. At Campus Reform, we've seen this over and over again on different universities across the country. At the University of Wyoming, a student veteran was banned from reciting the Pledge of Allegiance because of the claim that it could potentially harm international students. At Clemson University, students boycotted the Pledge of Allegiance to protest racial divide. And what these institutions and what these students are failing to acknowledge is that the Pledge of Allegiance really is not a dividing force, but rather it's a symbol of American unity. In our country, no matter what race you are, no matter what religion you practice, we're all united under our flag and under our pledge as citizens of this country. And these students and institutions really forget that fact.
And finally, as we wrap it up here, Ethan, what will you be keeping your eye on as many high school graduates head off to college starting, I guess, next month?
Yeah, I'm just going to be continuing to keep my eye out for any, professors with radically biased views. I'm going to continue to be reporting for Campus Reform and hoping to expose these biases so that students like myself can freely express our opinions.
Life. It's meant to be lived fully. Jesus said it. I came to give you life. Life to the fullest. Life in your family. Life in your finances. Life in your body, mind, and spirit. Life in your everyday. At CBN.com, we're taking what Jesus said seriously. We're here to help you discover life. Life. Live it fully. CBN.com.
On October 1st, 1961, history was made when a tiny station began transmitting the first signals of the Christian Broadcasting Network.
CBN, the Christian Broadcasting Network.
And now, a new era has begun with the all-new CBN News Channel.
Just moments ago, the Iron Dome intercepted an incoming rocket right on the Gaza border.
And ministering in this area, spiritual warfare is definitely involved.
A 24/7 news network, bringing you the news you want from a source you can trust.
In Kenya, 40% of the medical services are actually provided by these Christian hospitals.
Let's talk about the economy.
Believers here are joining together to win people to Jesus Christ.
All your favorite shows now in one place. Go to CBNNewsChannel.com to find out how to get the CBN News Channel on your TV all day, every day. CBN News.
The people of Arkansas will have to wait another day to enact restrictions on abortion in their state. In Little Rock, U.S. District Court Judge Christine Baker temporarily blocked a pro-life law from taking effect. The law requires that doctors performing abortions be board certified or board eligible in obstetrics and gynecology. Abortion rights advocates say the new law would place an undue burden on women's health because the only remaining surgical abortion clinic in the state would be forced to shut down. The Arkansas law also prohibits an abortion if it's sought because a fetus has Down syndrome. This law seems reasonable at a time when a growing number of Americans are choosing life and acknowledging that unborn babies also deserve the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. In 2017, the Harvard Law Journal published an article written by Joshua Craddock. He presented the argument that the unborn are protected by the 14th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution. Now, that amendment says that, quote, no state shall deprive any person of life, liberty, or property without due process of law, nor deny any person within its jurisdiction the equal protection of the laws. I know what some of you are saying, an unborn baby is not a person. Well, take a look at this. Is this not a person deserving of life? The people's representatives in the state legislature and the governor of Arkansas have spoken. They want abortion restricted in their state. So why is one person allowed to overturn the will of the people of Arkansas simply because she sits on a federal bench? President Obama appointed Christine Baker to the Arkansas Eastern District Federal Court in late 2011. The people of Arkansas didn't elect her, but now she's prevented the new pro-life law from moving forward. Folks, rulings like this will keep happening until more strict constructionists are appointed to our federal courts. Judges will interpret the Constitution as the Founding Fathers intended. That's what we need. If interpreted correctly, the 14th Amendment should apply in the Arkansas case, granting unborn babies protection under the law. And rulings like this one in Arkansas will likely continue to happen around the country until the U.S. Supreme Court finally revisits Roe v. Wade. Justice Clarence Thomas suggests a new ruling is long overdue. Yes, it's time. The Roe v. Wade decision was flawed because the Constitution does not mention a woman's right to abortion. But the 14th Amendment, if interpreted correctly, protects the life of the unborn, especially after a heartbeat is detected. Medical professionals say the absence of a heartbeat is the accepted criterion of when life ends. Then shouldn't it also be a criterion for when life begins? Yes, it's time to acknowledge life and the Constitution that guarantees life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness and equal protection for all Americans, including the unborn. Well, that's it from the Global Lane. Be sure to follow us on Facebook, iTunes, SoundCloud, YouTube, and Twitter. And until next time, be blessed.